The bold and the beautiful spoilers for Monday, August 4th, suggest that Ridge Forrester will get concerned about Nick Marone's ring for Brooke Logan, while John Finn Finnegan discovers that he can't stop seeking for answers. Finn and Bridget Forrester were finally able to confront Grace in the hospital, but it didn't go well. Grace would not elaborate on the alleged cutting-edge procedure that Liam Spencer possessed. Of course, Finn still wants to see Liam's entire medical record since things don't make sense to him. Grace tried to deflect all of Finn's queries and pushed him to trust her, but he will continue to investigate. Finn will soon discover Grace is operating a brain tumor scam, so keep tuned to Monday's B&B episode to see how much he uncovers. Finn will likely receive some unexpected news shortly. Meanwhile, Eric Forrester will alert Ridge now that he has seen Nick's engagement ring for Brooke firsthand. It will make Eric even more motivated to reconnect Ridge and Brooke before it is too late. Ridge will become enraged when he learns about Nick's marriage proposal preparations and decides he must take severe action. Ridge does not want Brooke to agree to marry Nick, therefore he will cancel the boat ride she has planned. Naturally, Nick will crank on the charm and intensify the affair. Nick will treat Brooke like the queen of his heart, doing everything he can to make her feel special. Brooke will eventually board Nick's boat, but she will make the mistake of stretching out in the back. It will not be a safe position, and Brooke will likely fall off if Nick loses control. Brooke is going to make a big splash in the upcoming episodes, but help is on the way. That is because Ridge will make his own splash and save Brooke once she is tossed into the sea. According to the bold and the beautiful teasers, Ridge Forrester does not intend to utilize his next brief vacation to Italy for anything other than work. However, a looming fatal incident will change his perspective on Brooke Logan. Despite Taylor Hayes' engagement ring and the reappearance of Ridge's despised brother, Nick Marone, Brooke appears set to reconnect with Ridge. Reconciliations with B&B's possibly most renowned pair are not new. They've been married and legally separated 8 times. There are also more breaks than that record-breaking figure when legality is not mentioned. So, one question among many can be posed for the viewer's consideration. Is this latest rebirth credible? Taylor Hayes leaving so quickly feels wrong. This is not something Brooke fans will agree with, but they aren't the intended audience. Instead, viewers who understand the full significance of developing alternative daytime roadways are highlighted. They are questioned what the point of recasting the Taylor character, bringing in a senior actor like Budig, and then abruptly halting the apparent remarriage narrative before it really began? Brooke has frequently defeated Taylor, and perhaps that is the objective this time around. Her destiny line may not be so straightforward. Lang's character could have been telling the truth, but not her truth or Ridge's truth, as a soapy moral relativist would claim. It's reasonable to ponder if the ideal narrative line would have been for Ridge and Taylor to marry and be together for at least a year before he felt called back to Brooke. Nick Marone's stay in Los Angeles will be short? Wagner's return to the cast is welcome news for long-standing fans. If Nick had succeeded, Brooke would have reconciled with him via remarriage. However, Nick's return serves as incentive for Ridge, with Kay's character recognizing that he cannot let that menace stand in his way of returning to Brooke. Wagner has not been a regular cast member in several years. Nick and Brooke have a son, and that aspect of their shared history provides numerous plot potential. However, he appears to be merely a temporary distraction for Brooke. Nick's presence in Ridge's rescue helped Brooke prepare for her upcoming dunk in the water. Brooke will undoubtedly live, and Nick may as well, albeit he will need to be tied to another woman, likely his other ex-wife, Taylor. The bold and the beautiful spoilers. Ridge returns to Brooke. Does Italy drama produce a believable reunion? Brooke Logan always knew Ridge Forrester's heart. Kay has done an excellent job developing his interpretation of this famous character, since taking over the role Ron Moss established when B&B debuted in 1987. Kay joins the cast in 2013. Brooke's instincts are far more than arrogance. Furthermore, she has 8 previous marriages to back up her claim that Ridge loves her more than Taylor or any other woman. What appears to be a fait accompli or destino compiuto in Italian, alluding to this famous soap's most recent magnificent location shoot setting, is happening. Ridge travels to Italy engaged to Taylor, but is lured back to Brooke, despite Nick's considerable charisma. Viewers will be waiting to see what twists the writing staff uses to keep a well-worn story fresh this summer, as another Brooke and Ridge sequel takes place. Ridge paced across the terrace of the Forrester estate, the late afternoon sun doing nothing to soothe the chilly knot that tightened in his chest. His fingers squeezed into fists, then released before clenching again. He couldn't stop looking at it. The ring. The damn ring. It felt right at home on Brooke's finger. Sparkling with boldness and permanence. Nick had finished it. He had proposed. Brooke had accepted. He had told himself that he didn't care anymore. After all the betrayals, back and forths, falsehoods and desire, he convinced himself he was finished. But he wasn't. Not really. Not in the way that mattered. And especially not now that another man was entering into the future Ridge had always pictured for Brooke. When he saw them at Il Giardino the night before, toasting champagne with her hand in Nick's, the shine of that ring struck him harder than any punch. He had swiftly turned away, preventing them from seeing the hit. He smiled at Katie, who had come for a peaceful meal, but his mind was elsewhere. That flash of gold and diamond had followed him home, haunted his dreams, and now blazed behind his eyelids while he attempted to convince himself it wasn't important. But it did. He reached for his phone but suddenly stopped. What will he say? Was she making a mistake? That Nick was not the appropriate man for her. That after everything she still belonged to him? But he had already done that. Too many times. And each time he lost her just a little more. Perhaps she was exhausted. Perhaps she had finally closed the door he had always left open. The sound of footsteps behind him pulled him out of his spiral. Steffie stood with her arms crossed, keeping a close eye on him. "You've been out here for over an hour," she added, walking up beside him. "What's going on?" He did not respond immediately. His gaze was fixed on the horizon, but his thoughts were on that ring. That sign. That was a silent declaration. Ridge eventually spoke up, his voice tight. Steffie lifted her eyebrow. "He proposed." She said yes. There was a silence, broken only by the rustle of leaves and the distant sound of traffic. Steffie's tone was guarded. "And you're surprised?" Ridge turned to face her, his gaze steely. "No. I don't know. I just didn't think she'd do it." "You mean move on?" Steffie responded. "Dad, she's been trying to for years." Ridge exhaled with a raspy sound. "It is not about moving on. This is Nick." Steffie folded her arms again. "Is it Nick? Or is it that it's not you?" He didn't respond, which was enough. She exhaled. "You need to let her go, Dad. For real this time. You can't keep pulling her back every time she attempts to be happy with someone else. If you want her to be happy, you must respect her decisions." He shakes his head. "You do not comprehend. That dude isn't right for her. He has always had an agenda. He sees what he wants and gets it. Kind of like you." Steffie spoke lightly, not mockingly, but with a subtle challenge in her tone. "You've been fighting over her for years. But perhaps today she is choosing peace. Perhaps she is choosing stability." Ridge felt it like a blow. Is that what she thinks of him now? Instability? Chaos? He turned back to the hills. "You really think he can give her that?" "I think she believes he can. And that is what matters." The next morning, Ridge found himself driving without a destination, but he wound up at the marina. The sight of Nick's boat, the Shady Marlin II, rocking gently on the lake drew him like a magnet. He stopped and stood on the dock for a long time, marveling at the elegant craft. Nick's domain. His universe. Brooke had spent nights, weekends, and possibly even weeks there. Was she there now? He was ready to turn and depart when he heard the sound of footsteps on the deck. Nick appeared shirtless, holding a coffee mug, and immediately recognized Ridge. "Well, if it isn't the eternal ex," Nick remarked dryly, taking a sip. Ridge did not respond to the remark. "Nice ring." Nick inclined his head. "She deserves it." "Does she?" Ridge inquired, stepping forward. "Or is it just another way for you to stick it to me?" Nick chuckled. "Is it always about you? Do you suppose I bought a ring to spite you? You give yourself too much credit." Ridge's jaws constricted. "You've always wanted what I had." Nick stepped down onto the dock. Corrected. "I desire her. Not because she is yours but because of who she is. And just maybe she wants something different than what you have to offer. I gave her everything. You gave her drama. You repeatedly broke her heart. You believe love is claiming someone. I think it's allowing them to breathe. Ridge did not have a comeback. He was too full of bile and terror, twisted inside at the prospect of Brooke slipping away for good. Nick shakes his head. She isn't a prize, Ridge. She is not a struggle to be one. She's a woman who has finally decided what type of life she wants. Ridge turned without saying another word. The dock felt shaky beneath his feet as he walked away. Back at work, he found himself preoccupied. Designs blended together. Meetings passed in a blur. Even Taylor noticed his tattered edges. "You're somewhere else," she remarked, passing him a packet he hadn't requested. "I'm fine." "You aren't. You're obsessed." He looked up sharply. "Is that your professional opinion, doctor?" She did not flinch. "It's my personal one." Ridge stroked his forehead. "I saw the ring." Taylor nodded promptly, indicating his understanding. And it's final. She's really choosing him." Taylor sat across from him. "Maybe you should ask yourself why that bothers you so much." He glanced at her. "Isn't it obvious?" "Maybe not for you. You've had opportunities, Ridge. You have had opportunities to make things right with Brooke. But you've always hesitated. Why?" "I tried to protect her." "From me?" "From everything." "Or were you protecting yourself from rejection?" The hush was heavy. Taylor softened. "Perhaps it isn't about the ring. Perhaps it's about comprehending that this isn't a game. That this time she will not return." Ridge gulped hard. "I don't want to lose her." "But you already have. Now the question is, what are you going to do with that?" Later that night, as darkness fell over the city and the lights of downtown twinkled like distant stars, Ridge stood alone in his living room, a glass of scotch unopened on the table. His thoughts continued swirling, always returning to her. Brooke, laughing in the garden, crying in his arms, her voice, her fury, her fire. She used to stare at him like this. He seemed to be the answer to every question she couldn't think of. Now she was staring at Nick like that. He reached for his phone again. This time he let it ring. Her voice was calm. "Ridge, I saw the ring." A pause. "I figured you would." "It's serious then?" "Yes." "Do you love him?" She did not respond right away. "I do." It felt as if the earth had opened beneath him. "But not the way I loved you," she said softly. "It's different." "Then why?" "Because different may be what I need. Ridge, I can't keep living in a loop with you. We adore each other, yet we also break each other." He sat down heavily. "I didn't want this." "I know," she replied. "Neither had I. But here we are." He didn't hang up despite having nothing else to say. I sat there, breathing with her in the solitude, separated by more than just space. The next few weeks were a haze. Brooke and Nick's engagement immediately became public knowledge. The tabloids adored it. It became a topic of conversation in fashion circles. The Forrester family was divided, some quietly supportive, others reserved. Eric tried to remain neutral, but he revealed to Ridge that he had never fully trusted Nick. Nonetheless, he accepted Brooke's choice to choose. Ridge attempted to bury himself in work. New collections, fabric exhibitions, and branding initiatives. He was everywhere and nowhere, working himself to exhaustion just to avoid thinking. But she was always present. In his sketches, within the curvature of a garment, there was a slight trace of perfume left behind when she dropped off papers at the office. Then came the wedding invitation. Hand-delivered. Elegant. Gold-trimmed. He stared at it for several hours before putting it back in the package. Ridge failed to show up for the wedding. Instead, he traveled to Big Bear alone. He sat by the fireplace, a scotch in hand, as the snow began to fall. He imagined her wearing white, smiling and lovely. He imagined Nick raising her veil. He pictured her saying "I do" with purpose. And for the first time he released her. Not with bitterness. Not when you're angry. But with love. A different type of love. The kind that wishes someone could find peace, even if it's not with you. Ridge's heart broke during that calm surrender. Then began the healing process.